In this video, we're going to take a look at how YouTube creators are pushing their food limits for the sake of making money, and how this can have a negative impact on the general public. So from mukbangs to extreme eating challenges, we'll explore how this dangerous behavior has become normalized and how it can lead to unhealthy habits in young people. Let's talk about how this trend is damaging our society and what we can do to stop it. Is it possible that money has become a larger motivator for people than happiness and self-fulfillment? We think money is going to make us happy. Money does solve money problems. So if you need clothes, if you need food, you go to the store, you need money. If you want to have a place to live or you're going to travel around, again, you need money. And the traveling part is interesting because money gets us to work where we can make more money. How we end up getting there is very dependent on how much money we have, right? If we don't have a lot of money, we might have to walk to work. If we have a bit more, you might be able to take the bus. If we have even more, we might be able to fly or drive a car or whatever, right? But the money we have helps us to get where we need to go. Money also gives us access to better medical services. So money can't solve non-money problems. For example, having money doesn't automatically solve loneliness or relationship issues. Of course, again, you can use money to pay for services like therapy, but if you don't know how to interact with people, you will still struggle in relationships and therefore struggle with loneliness. Money can't help you enjoy your life. So I can have lots of money and pay for lots of expensive trips, lots of expensive activities. But if I don't like what I'm doing, or if I don't find what I'm doing somehow fun or entertaining or exciting or something, that's not going to change the fact that I don't find it fun or entertaining or whatever. So money does not automatically cause you to feel fulfilled. And when I talk about fulfillment, it's that I got out of the situation what I expected to and what I wanted to and what I needed to get out of it. And the good example of this is when I interact with others, I feel satisfied in that interaction. I feel like we connected in some way. And money doesn't automatically equal that I feel like I'm contributing to the world in a positive way, so that I have purpose. And even if I can give lots of money to charity and all kinds, it still doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to feel fulfilled and like that I'm serving the world in a good way by doing that. People are engaging in dangerous and extreme eating just to make money. We see things like mukbangs and extreme eating challenges. I want to point out that mukbang is a Korean word apparently that means eating show. So mukbangs don't necessarily need to look like what we see on YouTube, but we know what we do see when we search that word. And we've had eating challenges since the first pie eating contest back in, well, the first recorded one back in 1878. But the extremity of like what we see when we search eating challenge on YouTube, again, it wasn't that, right? It was a bunch of people sitting down who could finish the pie first. Everything that we do, especially if we're doing it for money, gets pushed to the extreme, right? Because we want to get money, we want to get clicks, and we want to get views. Now, we eat daily, and I think that's part of the reason that we've seen this mukbang increase, and like kind of the idea being, well, if I'm going to eat every day anyways, why shouldn't I get paid to do it? I want you to think about the difference between the short-term gain of money and the long-term gain or loss of health, right? Because you're putting your health at risk. And we need to ask ourselves if money today is worth poor health tomorrow. If you're 20 years old, let's say, and you decide that, oh, I'm willing to sell my soul to the devil, right? He's only going to come back in 30 years or 20 years. That's 40 or 50 years old. That's how old I am. Am I ready to just leave right now, first of all? No. But also, the way that you're going to leave isn't fun. I want us to consider that YouTube does not pay most people enough for what they're putting their body through to try to make some money. So if you look at the average YouTuber who is going to get maybe $5 for a video, $10, $20 for a video, the average YouTuber. And that's the average monetized YouTuber. There are so many YouTubers that are not even monetized. If you are putting your body at risk this way, eating things that are unhealthy, is that really enough money for you? But the other thing that I want you to think about is, let's say that you don't fear gaining weight. Because if you look at a lot of the people that do mukbangs, their weight rises. Weight is not the only thing that you risk when you do extreme eating challenges and mukbangs. You're risking heart disease, type 2 diabetes. You're risking a higher chance of cancer. You're risking fatty liver disease, dental issues, cognitive decline. You're risking increased risk of depression. All the different kinds of skin issues, from acne all the way through to eczema and psoriasis and just itchiness all the time. I remember being so itchy when I was doing normal diet. And even today, when I eat too many plant-based oils, so like coconut oil, avocado oil, that kind, I still get itchy. So I don't think that we can just ignore the fact that for everyone, food is important. But for those of us who've lived damage and we're trying to recover, the quality of the food that you're choosing to eat really does matter. Normal doesn't sell. Easy doesn't sell. Those are meals that I absolutely would eat. Those are meals that you absolutely can buy in the store. But those are not meals that if you just put those on YouTube and say, hey, look at this, those are not the meals that are going to get you hundred thousands of clicks, right? They're just too normal, too basic. What sells is weird and extreme. And I think this is why we're getting into trouble when it comes to food online, right? Because what used to get our attention, the typical cooking show, where, you have maybe somebody like Martha Stewart on screen saying, hey, this is how you make this. And then she's going to show you the recipe. She's going to cook the food and taste it. And wow, that tasted the way I expected. Or, ooh, I made a mistake. That was the big, finale. But when today, it went from just a standard cooking show to a what I eat in a day, where I'm seeing every single meal this person had all day. And then it went from that to mukbangs. And it's like, do we see where we're always pushing things to the extreme to get, well, more views, more entertainment, more I'm not sure what. Your initial bake-offs, maybe they started off with, hey, this is how you cook a pie. Maybe your initial, the bake-off might have started off with, who can finish this pie first? And that turns into buy a pie eating contest, where it's like multiple people eating as many pies as possible, which turns into the extreme eating challenge, where it's not just a pie, or 2 or 3 pies, it's like 20 pies. And at the end of the day, we keep pushing normal to the edge because we're constantly chasing excitement and fun. Wellness warriors, we don't want to ever feel sad or frustrated or annoyed. We're never satisfied to have enough of something, right? If you have enough money to live comfortably, that's not good enough. We want to live like celebrities. And it's not good enough for us to just eat a healthy meal. No, that meal needs to be over the top and fancy. And I want us to stop and consider that we can chase money, for example, And we're never going to actually have enough, because if having more money is the goal, there's no end to more. If having the fanciest cell phone is the goal, well, there's always going to be a new cell phone. And if having the most exquisite meal is the goal, well, there's always going to be the next person making the next special meal. I mean, we watched that Mr. Beast video where there was gold on the food. Like, how much more extravagant can you get than that? So I think that we need to allow ourselves to see that we are having a hard time to be satisfied with normal. And it's just getting us deeper and deeper into trouble. I want you to think about couples that you might have known who split up because things in the bedroom were too vanilla. And maybe you're the couple that split up for that reason. And the question I want you to think about is, why did we even think that? And I think that we end up thinking that because we're constantly bombarded with unrealistic images of extremely romantic and, like these unrealistic romantic images on television and movies. And then when we compare ourselves, we feel like we're pretty, generic. But even worse, if we look for it, we can find pretty graphic and stimulating images that makes what's happening in our own bedrooms look so boring that you want to fall asleep. And then we have such a hard time learning from that mistake, because how many people break up because of this kind of thing? We don't learn from that mistake and make better choices, which leads us then to treat food the same way. We're going to look at people eating, and what we don't realize is that while we watch, we learn. And we think to ourselves, I can do that. I want that. That looks interesting. That looks better than what I have. And those thoughts turn into, I need that to be happy. And all of this is happening under our radar. We don't even realize that these are the thoughts we're having, right? Because it's just so easy to have them. It would be better for us to have a balanced life. And in order to have a balanced life, we need to understand that money isn't the goal. It's a tool to make life easier. And we need to understand that fame isn't the be-all and end-all. Some people do become famous. But what's more important than being famous is being known by the people that matter to you. So if my family knows me and also feel connected to me, so I feel seen by them, they feel seen by me, that's going to be more important in your life to help you to feel good about your life, to help you feel happy, than actually being famous. And we don't give ourselves the ability to see that as a reality, right? The other thing is that being validated by others is not anywhere as important as feeling understood by them. And so this is where the power comes into play, because when we don't feel understood by others, we try to force them to understand us. We try to force them to do it my way, because if you do it my way, that tells me that you understand me. And I want you to understand, Wellness Warrior, that that's not reality. Sure, I can force my kids to do certain things. I can force my spouse to do certain things for as long as they're in the relationship with me. But the interesting thing is, if I force you to do everything my way, I'm going to push you away. And chances are then I'm going to be back to feeling lonely and not having in my life what I want to have in my life, because it's not about controlling people, right? It's about controlling myself, right? So yes, I get to control me, what I choose to do, what I choose to not do. The hope is that by controlling myself, I learn about myself, and then I cooperate with others. And when in that cooperation, so I'm going to feel understood, I'm going to feel known, I'm going to feel like I'm being seen, I'm going to feel like I have a good control of my life because things are going the way I like because I'm cooperating with others. Having a balanced life is about prioritizing your personal development over making money. And I really believe that if we stop trying to chase money and put our attention on living a life that feels connected with other people, because people matter most. Interaction matters most. Money isn't the thing. So these YouTube creators who are pushing their food limits for the sake of making money, this is having a negative impact on the general public, right? Because we watch them doing this. It's important for us to remember that we learn by watching others. That whole idea of vicarious learning. And we need to be conscious of how watching people eat garbage has a huge impact on our own eating habits. Watching videos of people eating large amounts of unhealthy food, or even participating in extreme eating challenges, is going to lead to unhealthy habits without us even realizing it. So it's important to be aware of this so that you can think differently about all of this and make a better choice. Now, if you're looking for ideas on how to eat healthy, be sure to check out my video that I'm going to put here and it's linked below about eating healthy keto.